Hi, welcome back, and in this review, we'll be looking at Dyson's latest cordless stick vacuum, the V15 Detect. It's been 2 years since Dyson released the V11 torque drive, and this model represents another step forward in cordless vacuum technology. Unlike the outsized, that is a supersized version of the torque drive, the V15 injects several new features that, in my opinion, should help consumers be more efficient at cleaning their homes, which I'll look into first in this video. So I've spent the past week testing this product, putting it through my usual series of tests to see if the upgrades justify the premium cost. And at the forefront of these upgrades is this green laser precisely angled on the digital slim fluffy head to reveal tiny particles of dust normally invisible to the naked eye. The lack of front LED lights was one of my nitpicks with older Dyson cordless vacuums, which hampers visibility. And this green laser is better than a white light flashed by an LED at highlighting contaminants. It not only provides illumination, but also accentuates dust particles normally invisible otherwise. With only natural light, you'd think this area is clean, but the laser shows it's not. In fact, the opposite, lots of dirt. You'll notice once I pull back, the dust particles are gone. Put the fluffy slim side by side against a standard fluffy attachment, it doesn't have as much bulk, which is a good thing since it's lighter and offers better steering. Dyson introduces the piezo sensor with the V15 located at the inlet where it counts dust particles up to 15,000 times per second. What it does is increase suction when it detects an increase in dust levels. This feature is similar to the Tineco iLoop sensor where airflow increases as debris quantity goes up. But Dyson's version uses an acoustic sensor that also measures debris size in microns that you can see in real time on the LCD display, color-coded depending on size. The high torque attachment has these combs above the brush. It supposedly helps untangle hair, and the test results were encouraging, which I'll reveal later in this video, specifically how it did on longer strands. Around the brush are these blue protrusions that I believe help with agitation. These are more pronounced on the V15 than on the V11 outsize, and could be a reason why the V15 did better at cleaning embedded sand in the eco setting. This tool retains the dynamic load sensor found in the V11 that increases suction when it detects carpet and reverts back on hard surfaces. I think it's the best setting on carpet as it balances runtime and cleaning performance for deep cleaning this surface. Last but not least for these upgrades is the newly designed mini turbo brush. James Dyson says it's counter-levered and conical, so hair is driven to the end of the tool and sucked into the bin. I tested it on these strands over 12 inches long that would normally tangle on traditionally designed brushes, and it works. The brush does work as advertised. Hair may wrap on it, but it gets funneled towards this chamber, then inside the dustbin. The V15, like the outsize, has a detachable battery, so it's easy to replace or extend runtime if you want that convenience at your fingertips. Please note that the detachable V15 and outsize batteries are similar and interchangeable, so if you can't find V15 specific batteries, the outsize battery will suffice. The V15 retains the same dustbin as the torque drive with the same point-and-shoot hygienic system, which has been a Dyson staple since the V7. While the V15 is expensive, it brings a lot to the table, which I'll focus on in this section, and I'll start with this green laser. I believe it's a game changer because of how well it magnifies dust otherwise invisible with the naked eye. Of all the upgrades Dyson put in the V15, this is the most practical and useful in my opinion, more so than the piezo sensor that measures particle size. I've tested many cordless vacuums with front LED headlights, but none of them come close to accentuating almost invisible to the naked eye dust. If there's one reason to buy the V15, this would be on the forefront. Cleaning performance would be the next pro, and Dyson somehow managed to improve upon the outsized power output, which is already high for a cordless vacuum. The V15 Detect has the highest airflow of all the cordless vacuums I've tested so far, with up to 73 CFM at the wand and 62 CFM at the nozzle. And the suction test confirms this bump with up to 25 pounds of water lift, slightly higher than the outsize, and more than any Dyson cordless vacuum. So basically, the V15 has better suction and airflow than the V11 outsize without a massive frame. The only downside is a smaller dustbin capacity, which is a trade-off I'd gladly take since using the outsize as a handheld is like lugging around a 5-pound dumbbell. This increase in suction and airflow, plus the improved agitation from the redesigned brush, makes it one of the best cordless options for deep cleaning carpet. I've reviewed both the V11 torque drive and outsize, and the V15 is the best of the three at picking up embedded sand at the eco setting. It picked up 100% in all three tests at eco, auto, and max. a clean sweep. The laser slim fluffy attachment also is excellent at picking up debris, except for big stuff like Fruit Loops. But I don't think it's something you'd clean daily, so it's not a deal breaker. The slim profile of this tool make it easy to maneuver, especially in tight spaces, more so than a V8's roller, which has more bulk. Overall, it aced nearly all the cleaning tests except for coffee, but it still picked up in the high 90s, so it's still an excellent score. Another proof of the high airflow and suction for a cordless vacuum is the results on the edge cleaning test. It was one of the more efficient cord-free products, needing only a few passes to pick up debris in this area. It didn't have any issues picking up debris on this 1/4 inch crevice, and it picked up nearly every crumb on the cracks, even at the auto setting. These combs above the brush proved helpful at untangling long strands of hair. I tested how it resists tangles between 5 and 12 inch hair strands, and it held up quite well with only a few strands wrapping on the brush, even with 12 inch hair. The slim roller attachment also did well, but its limit was 12 inches. Some strands wrapped on the roller, but most tangled on this gap at the axle. But realized I used over 2 grams of hair, so this experiment is a bit extreme. I don't expect hair to wrap on the axle under normal circumstances. This product has a sealed system found in most Dyson cord-free products, and there were no visible leaks during the fog test. Another pro is this brand new mini turbo brush design. Its torque screw-like shape forces hair on this holding area and into the dustbin. I'm not sure about the science of this, but it just works. I didn't bother trying it on short strands, but immediately proceeded on these 12+ inch strands and nothing wrapped on the brush. Even if hair managed to tangle on the brush, pulling this red lever makes it possible to remove the brush and untangle hair. Aside from the new upholstery brush, the V15 has more tools than the outsize and torque drive, like this flexible hose tool to use with any non-powered attachment. Outside a slim roller, these are my favorite tools from the V15. Lastly is the runtime. Dyson advertises 60 minutes, but it runs much further than that. Check out these results from my tests. It lasted up to 84 minutes with a slim roller, one of the highest numbers from a single battery. And with the torque drive attachment, it lasted close to 56 minutes in eco mode. However, that number gets down to 17 minutes in the auto setting on carpet. But considering how well it did in the deep cleaning tests at eco mode, this can be a viable primary option for cleaning carpet. And since there's no need to use the max setting for deep cleaning, it's easier to push and puts less strain on the battery, extending its service life. Please note that I didn't have enough time to test the runtime on all the settings and configurations, but please check the review on my blog to see the results. Despite all the positives, this vacuum isn't perfect, and I'll quickly go over the things I don't like, and the most obvious is price. The V15 will be as expensive as most premium upright vacuums, but still surprisingly cheaper than the outsize despite the power bump. So the question is, are you willing to spend this much on a cordless product, and are the upgrades enough? The next con is weight. Nope, it's not outsize level heavy, but the handle weight is still substantial. Not an issue cleaning floors, but it can be above it. The extended frame and handle position makes it tiring to use for any extended stretch. This has been a concern for any Dyson cordless product since the V10 was released, and the V15 is heavier. Lastly for this section is the noise. The V15 Detect is noisy, ranging between 67 and 80 decibels. It's noisier with the torque drive head attached than the roller, but regardless of attachment, it is loud. I'm not sure where to put the piezo sensor. The ability to know the debris size you're cleaning in real time is a nice to have feature, but I don't think it's a must-have feature in a vacuum. It might be helpful for some who are obsessive compulsive about allergens and dust mites, but for me, the green laser light is more practical. To conclude this review, the Dyson V15 Detect is a substantial upgrade over the V11 torque drive in performance and practicality. I'd say it's a better value than the costlier V11 outsize. To put it in perspective, the V15 marries the strengths of the torque drive and the outsize, more power than the outsize without the bulk. Ergonomics will always be a challenge for all current generation V-series vacuums unless Dyson does a radical design change. So it will boil down to what compromises you are willing to make. With the V15, it's the high cost, whether the upgrades will justify it. If this video has been helpful to you, consider giving it a thumbs up. It helps me grow the channel and do more reviews. Links are in the description for more information, and if you have questions, drop them below in the comments. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more reviews like this. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.